Hello, it's the Friday Talkie, take 4, recorded on a Thursday. Why am I recording this on a Thursday? Well, I've done 4 takes already and not got it to my liking. I need the time, so I'm getting it done early. Why so many takes? This is kind of, from my point of view, this is an important Friday Talkie. It's addressing some things that have come up over the week that I want to talk about. Some things that I want to explain, I guess, and other things that I just want to address. I'm kind of, this first bit, something that's come up over the week that I sort of want to address to people who are thinking of starting YouTube channels or who have got YouTube channels and are concerned about, or you'll understand in a minute. I'm talking about negative reactions. When you make videos, if you're expressing an opinion, any kind of opinion, there are going to be people who don't share that opinion. That's just a fact of life. We don't all think the same about the same things, and by God, life would be boring if we all thought the same. The thing with that is, some people find it difficult to handle the fact that there are other people who don't share their opinion. They can't handle that. They need to try and change your mind, shall we say. How they go about that can vary. Some are quite polite about it, some aren't. But you have to expect a negative reaction. If you're going into this thinking everyone's going to love you or agree with you, you're going to get a shock. So yeah, this week I've done a series of videos on the N64, which, my opinion, you know, I'm not in love with the system. I don't think it's crap, but it's certainly not one of my favourite systems. I'm going to talk more about that later. Anyway, and I played Zelda, a game which I didn't enjoy. You know, it's not my cup of tea. And here's the thing. There is a big difference between saying, I don't like this. You can say that and no one can tell you otherwise. No one can tell you whether you like a thing or not. I don't like Zelda much. And anyone who tells me, what do you mean you don't like Zelda? Of course you do. Well, obviously, that's wrong. What is dangerous is saying, this is crap, or this is no good, this is a rubbish game. There are occasions where I will do that. If I think a game is so completely broken and unplayable, I will say, this is rubbish. But I do tend to be careful and say, I don't like this, rather than this is crap. One is defensible, one, you really got to be careful. Thing is, there are always going to be people who can't tell the difference. They think saying, I don't like this, means you're saying, this is crap. And they react very negatively towards that kind of thing, if there's someone who can't handle another person having a different opinion. These people exist. It's unfortunate, but it's a fact of life. You just have to deal with it. How you deal with it, I'm going to talk about later. Actually, I'm not going to talk about how you deal with it. I'm going to talk about how I deal with it. But that's for later. What I kind of pondered for a while was, why do people react so strongly if someone else dislikes something they like? Why did people react so strongly that I disliked Zelda? To my mind, it's not rational for them to do that, and I couldn't really get my head around it. And someone, and I really wish I could remember who it was, and I went back looking through my videos and comments trying to find the comment. Someone suggested that in saying you dislike a game that someone grew up with, it's like to them, it's like you're disrespecting their childhood. And I understood that. Trying to put a sentence together here. I get that. It's like, when you're a kid, you get into something, be it a game or a piece of music or a TV show, and it doesn't even matter if it's good or not. You get into it, you love it, and you get a very strong emotional bond with that. And that tends to stick with you throughout your life. So in later years, even if you can look at that game or music or TV show with a more objective view, fact is you still love it, you're emotionally attached, And emotions are not in that. No, I'm not going to say they're not entirely rational. Emotions aren't rational. So when someone with an emotional bond to a game sees someone else saying, "I don't like this," yeah, it being an emotional thing, you can probably expect a strong reaction, and probably a negative one. So yeah, I do finally get that. There is nothing you can do about that. It's just going to happen, and it's something you have to deal with. There is also the thing where people have made a choice. They've decided, I like this game. And if you say, I don't like this game, where they like it, there are people who will think you are disrespecting their choice. I think that's wrong-headed, but I accept that it happens. For me, I dislike something. If someone else likes it, I don't have a problem that they like it. I don't have a need to convince them that they should think the same as I do. That's what opinions are all about. I like this, you don't. You like that, I don't. No problem, I don't need... That is also a thing. I think some people think that what I'm doing are reviews, and so I'm saying this is what is. This is what you should think about this game, or this is crap, or this isn't. And if it doesn't match what they think, it's like I'm attacking their thinking or whatever, I don't know. But that's not what I'm about. All I'm doing is saying, I don't like this. But yeah, you kind of have to expect it. You're going to get negative reactions. How to deal with that? This is... I can't tell you how to deal with that. I can tell you, and I will explain how I deal with it. When I did my Zelda video, I got something like 16 thumbs down. Being a slightly odd kind of person, I sometimes... Never mind I speak my mind, you know I speak my mind, I sometimes say some rather bizarre things. I'm also inclined to speak out loud, even if there's no one there. If something's in my head, I just have to say it sometimes. So I saw all those thumbs down, and I laughed out loud, quite literally, I lolled, and said, wow, they didn't like that very much, did they? With a great big grin on my face, because I thought it was funny. Why was it funny? Partly, I kind of grasped the reasons that I just explained, why people react the way they do. But to me, thumbs down, they don't matter. They really, really don't. If someone thumbs down a video that you've done, there's someone there saying, I don't like that. Maybe they disagree with what you're saying. But I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, I don't have the statistics, it doesn't matter. These are people who are not going to come forward and say, I don't like what you just said or did. And to me, if they can't come forward and say, and justify why they don't like it, then I don't care. It doesn't matter. It just isn't important. Now, that's the easy bit. Where it gets tricky is where you get the people who do come forward and have something to say, and they'll say it in comments. How to handle that? There are two different things here. You will get the people who disagree with you. I've got no problem with anyone disagreeing with me, because all I'm doing is putting forward my opinion. And I'm not ever saying you should think this, or this is fact. This is what everybody should think. No, absolutely not. I'm an individual. I think my own thoughts. All I'm saying is this is what I think about this. And if someone comes up and says, I don't agree with you, you think that game's crap, I love it. Or you love that game, I think it's crap. I have no problem with that. I welcome it. Everyone has their own opinion. You will sometimes, though, get someone coming forward and saying, you're wrong. No. Are you telling me I like this game that I just said I don't like? No. And I won't have that. I just won't. And very often the ones that do that are also being pushy in your face and can get offensive. I did have someone with the Zelda video who was just really, really... Well, they were angry. I think actually their reasons for being angry were not the ones they stated, but you can draw your own conclusions on that. Anyway, but to me, if someone disagrees with me or with my opinion, absolutely fine. I welcome it. If someone tells me you shouldn't do that, no, you can't tell me what I should or shouldn't do. This is my channel. I do things my way. If you don't like it, don't watch. Disagree with me and my opinions, certainly, but you can't tell me what to do or think. It's not your place to do that. And when people do that, I will put them straight and say, no. You know, sometimes you might want constructive criticism. Sometimes I might want... These days I don't. That's the thing. I've been doing this so long. Constructive criticism, I don't need it. I know what I'm doing. I know how I want to do it. I accept that some people will like it and some won't. But if they tell me I shouldn't do it, I'll tell them to get stuffed. Sometimes you're going to get someone who can be really irritating. I have a person who shall forever remain unnamed, who comments on a regular basis, and I disagree with what that person says in almost every comment. But it's just a difference of opinion, and it might irritate me, but I'm never gonna have a go at them or whatever, you know. It's just how it is. But sometimes you'll get people who are just plain rude. And with me, if someone offends me, if they're if they're just deliberately going out to offend, I'm just like, block, bang, gone, end of story. If it's someone who's been around for quite a while, subscribed for a long time, and they say something that I'm offended by, I will tell them I found that quite insulting. And then how they react affects what I do next. You know, if I tell someone you've offended me and they apologise and say I didn't mean to offend, you know, even if they don't apologise, if they say it wasn't my intention to offend, I'm like, okay, we'll just draw a line under that. But if they're like, yeah, whatever, you don't ever have to put up with someone who... Actually, you don't have to put up with anything at the end of the day. It is your channel. You make the rules. And you shouldn't ever feel attacked or have your confidence undermined, you know. Because one of the things about making videos like this is you have to feel confident in what you're doing. And if someone is undermining that, your confidence will take a hit, and it makes it harder to do. And second guessing yourself, well, as you will have seen, I did 2 videos. I second guessed myself, not because of anything that was said by anyone recently, but because I looked at what I'd done and I thought, I'm not comfortable with what I've just done there. And I made a second video of that Formula 1 game. And I've got to be honest, I found that second video that I did really bloody boring. It might have been more fair, but where's the spontaneity in it? It's joyless. So really, if someone is criticising and making you feel uncomfortable, second guess yourself, it's your channel. You don't have to put up with it. You can just say, fuck off, and block them. And that's me. I try to be reasonable, but if I feel I'm being attacked, I have no qualms about booting people out, not letting them back in, because at the end of the day, it's interaction. You could, I suppose, just make videos and never communicate, but if you're going to communicate, it's like when people comment they're coming into your living room. Well, you're not going to let someone into your living room who behaves like an obnoxious person. You know, you chuck them out. And that's kind of how it is. It's your living room, that comment section below, and you get to dictate exactly how it's used by the people who use it. You set the rules, you decide. Are you going to let it be a free-for-all? Many people do. I don't, and I'll tell you what, it really, really works for me. I have been called a Nazi for telling someone, stop insulting the other commenters. It's not your place to tell them how to comment. I got called a Nazi for that, and yeah, I blocked that person. But it works, because the people who comment here, for 99.9% of the time, they're really, really good people. You can have a good conversation down there in the comment section and not have to worry about some twat harassing you. That's how it works for me. There are no rules set by anyone else on how you should do it. You will get the free speech brigade saying, oh, free speech, you're censoring me. Well, no, it's YouTube. You've got your own channel. If you want to say something, you can say whatever the bloody hell you like on your channel. But this is my channel and I don't have to give you a platform to speak on if I don't want to. And that's how it is. Wow, I've gone on a lot about that, haven't I? But it had to be said because this week has been that kind of week. So, let's get on to where this all comes from, really, which is my attitude towards Nintendo, their games and their hardware. Because it is fair to say I'm not a fan of them. And I'm actually... I like some Nintendo stuff. My absolute favourite handheld is the Game Boy Advance. SP, I guess. I like the Micro as well. So it's not fair to say I'm completely anti-Nintendo. Oh. Do you love it when that happens? Back shortly. Okay, where was I? Yeah, GBA SP is my favourite handheld. I mean, it's not just that I like it, I really like it. So it would be wrong to say I dislike everything Nintendo. I really like the Virtual Boy. And that actually, that's a tricky thing for me. And you'll understand why it's tricky when I get onto a bit later. Anyway, so no, I am not anti-Nintendo per se, but I do have issues with them. So, what is it safe to say about my opinion towards them? Up until recently, actually, I had issues with the NES. I was not a fan of the NES, and I've explained my reasons for this in the past, and that's more about just how the market was in the UK at the time that it came out. And there's also I'm not really a fan of that style of games. They do a lot of cute stuff that it's just not my thing. And that's like how a person can like Chinese food but not Indian food. You don't have to have a rational reason for it. It just is. Like there's the whole Ford versus Chevy thing in America. It doesn't... There may or may not be rational reasons for it, but you know, you'll have your Ford lover and your Chevy lover, and your Chevy lover won't like your Fords and your Fords won't like your Chevy. And that's just how it is. And it's not necessarily rational. For me, there is more to it than that. It's not just that I like Indian food and not Chinese or vice versa. I actually like both. And I don't drive, so I don't give a crap about Ford and Chevy, and all of that is completely irrelevant. But there is just that little bit of, I'm not into it because I'm not into it. It just doesn't push my buttons. It's not rational. It doesn't have to be. You don't all... There doesn't have to be a reason to dislike something. You can't necessarily explain why. Sometimes you're just like, yeah, that just doesn't do it for me. And an awful lot of Nintendo stuff is like that. Their games in particular. There's the cutesy side of it, but there's the family-friendly side of it. It doesn't do it for me. I like something a bit more edgy. But there's something else as well. There are in fact two things. One is a more consistent view than the other, actually. I find Nintendo games visually fuzzy. And in comments there have been some discussions about why this is. To some degree that's because of the PAL output on UK systems, that through the RF output it can be pretty fuzzy, but there are other aspects to it as well. I wonder if it's the screen resolution that they use isn't well suited to PAL. I don't know. But then the N60, the SNES and the NES were both like that, but then you get the N64 and it is fuzzy, and there are probably several reasons for this. One is the limited memory on the cartridge, or the frame buffer, or all kinds of gubbins that, you know, they've got to use compression to fit the texture maps in on the cartridge because capacity is small and blah blah. And then there is the whole anti-aliasing. There is hardware anti-aliasing on the snares. Yes, I know it's an old system, but they had it. I remember the magazines back in the day talking about it. I don't know the specifics of how it works, but it's there. And it makes it fuzzy. And I don't like that. I like things to look crisp. What I can probably actually explain partly. I don't know if this is the actual reason, but I'm rationalizing here why I don't like that. I wear glasses, and without them everything is, I can't see diddly. And so clarity to me kind of matters. I have to wear these things to see, and so I expect things to be clear when I look at them. I have to put up with the inconvenience of wearing glasses. I expect clear vision. So here's this thing on the screen and it's fuzzy and I'm like, I can't quite see, and it pisses me off. I want a bit of clarity and I'm not getting it from them, and that puts me off. That's rationalizing. I don't know if that's a genuine reason, but it's something that comes to mind. The other thing is Nintendo. Part of what sets Nintendo apart from other manufacturers, and from many people is a real strong point, is that they like to innovate in their gameplay, in their control systems, in their display systems. They are an innovative, I hate that word, company. You've got your dual screens, you've got your touch screen gaming, you've got your freaky weird controllers, and I'm a bit of a stick in the mud. I genuinely don't like change. I really don't. There are reasons for that I won't go into. I don't handle change well, so I like a little bit of predictability. I love that Sony have basically used the same controller for the past 3 generations of console. I like that. I feel comfortable with their controller. It works for me. The fact that they don't change it, I really like. So here's Nintendo throwing out all kinds of weird stuff. I don't like that. But that, I totally accept. That's me. Nintendo are not at fault. Being innovative is a good thing. It just doesn't work for me. So that affects my opinion. There you are. That's the thing, though. It's personal preference. I'm entitled to it. I recognise that some people don't accept that, but it's never a case of me saying this is shit. It's just I don't like it, and the two are not the same thing. So, who suggested this? I've got to check now. Edit this. Okay, I had to check who said it. Madcap Operator suggested discussion. Fuzzy graphics, call it anti-aliasing if you like, or jaggies. This is not Nintendo versus Sony stroke Sega. This is just visually. You've got the choice. Would you prefer unjaggy, smoothed out but somewhat indistinct and fuzzy, warm looking graphics, or would you like jagged edges on your lines but where there is no, or can't quite tell where the edge of that line is? You know what I mean? Do you like fuzzies or jaggies? That sounds really kind of weird. Discuss. Or even is this a tag? It could be a tag, you know. Video responses are entirely welcome. It's not a it's not system versus system. It's just purely or at a visual level. What's more important to you, the clarity or smoothness? Yeah, because it's an interesting question, and well, you know my opinion, and you know why. I go for the clarity, and I don't mind jaggies at all. In fact, I like them. I know what I'm looking at. Okay. At this point I should have a shout out, but you know what, I'm not, because it's such a it's a contentious Friday talkie. It's touching on some things that are quite serious. I'm trying to keep it light. I'm trying not to, it's not meant to be a rant. It's not me, I'm not irate. It's just things that needed addressing that are interesting, I think, and worth thinking about and looking at and discussing and whatever. Because really that's what it's all about. It's all about discussing stuff, because people have different opinions, and I am all about the discussion. It would be so easy to make videos and not interact, and then it doesn't matter what people think, because you don't, you know, there are channels who make their videos and are massively popular but who never respond. But it's all about the discussion for me. So yeah, no shout out, because it's kind of such an edgy thing that I don't know, whatever, I'm not doing one. Closing comments, what is coming up? More of the same. Yeah, I'm going to continue doing the Nintendo games. I expect I will enjoy some of them. I expect I won't enjoy some of the others. There it is. And I am going to continue doing these system overviews. They're actually going down really, really well, and I'm really pleased about that. And for anyone who is interested and wondered how well putting all these annotations on them is working out, like having that video, the main collection video, as an index video, it is working really well. Having links to other areas like the gameplay videos or the system overviews from that video, and having links from these overview videos to the gameplay playlist is working brilliantly. Traffic is up, views are up. If you're thinking about doing it, it's worthwhile. There you go. That's all, folks. I'm losing my voice. So it is time to stop. Thank you for watching.